Easy now.
Come down. Ooh, you make my high come down. Always tripping when you come around. Never have to cut you off like right now. You see, I don't have to drive me. You can say that for your mama. Maybe you should smoke some. Me try to marijuana. I was loving you good. The vibe was straight. Showed you a couple of things and they feeling strange. I treated you right. Everything was a gift from a time to your bag and the color on your lip. Yeah, you plenty of
Welcome back to the Seahawks Man to Man podcast, powered by The Athletic. Shout out to the company. My name is Michael Sean Dugar. I'm here with my co-host, Christopher Kidd, who also runs the show on the board. If you guys didn't know, Mr. Producer Man. Follow us both up on the tweet machine. You guys know where to follow me. We go through this. I'm verified. You already know what it is. Chris, talk to him.
What is up, everybody? It's your boy, Christopher Kidd. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at CKIDD206, and that's CKID206.
Chris, do you think people know that you're the one who produces? I don't know if a lot of people produce and host at the same time. Think people know that?
I think by now, if you've been rocking with the show for the last, 4 years, you realize I do my best to produce our show. So, yeah.
I got to show you some love there. I don't know. There's a lot of people who produce. We got a lot of, even just on The Athletic, I think you got to be one of the only people who co-hosts and produces. So, shout out to Chris on that. But we've been gone for a little bit. That's why I said welcome back. Been gone for a few weeks. Shout out to everyone who submitted questions for our mailbag episode. I think that was our last one. Did that after mandatory minicamp. Yep. Shout out to you guys. We had to take a little bit of break. I
think that was our first break in 4 years. We actually took we're not doing nothing. No pod, not talking about it. No, you weren't tweeting the Seahawks stuff. If I'm not mistaken.
No.
We literally we disappeared.
Well, I was in Miami, so
you disappeared.
Having a good time. Chris had a birthday. He turned
28, baby.
Yeah, no,
COVID year.
A little bit of background, real quick. We're gonna get into Seahawks stuff. Sorry, but Chris is the same age as me. We're both 29. He doesn't think that his 2020 counted.
It makes perfect sense. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're wrong. What you mean? You can't just take a year off. So that's why. That's why I said 20. We're both
because of COVID.
Yeah.
So I'm still 28.
I get your reasoning. It's just wrong.
Great reason.
But that's why for the hiatus. But we back though. We in training camp mode. Chris and I are both at training camp Wednesday afternoon. I wore a black shirt, as you guys watching on YouTube can see. It was a very bad idea. I was very hot. I'm not going to wear one on Thursday or probably any other day that it's going to be above 70 degrees.
Smart move.
But a lot to get into with the training camp. The first thing that I want to start with, not even an on the field thing, probably the biggest topic of the 2021's NFL season is COVID again, and just how it pertains to vaccinations, because that's the big thing now. The vaccine exists, and I think that we're back to normalcy, but we can only get there through the vaccines, because as people are probably seeing now in their locals, in their areas like Washington, I think Governor Inslee is like, yo, mask up again. I think Oregon's off the same thing. California's off the same thing. Nevada is off the same thing. Like, yo, vaccinated or not, mask up. This Delta variant is not messing around. All right, so in the NFL, it's become a very hot button topic. You got Cole Beasley leading the charge for the anti-vaxxers, and that's very bad news for the anti-vaxxers that Cole Beasley is your spokesperson, because that's not who you want. But vaccination rates among teams have become the new thing, because there's basically two worlds you can live in now. If you're an NFL player, all coaches have to be vaccinated, or you're not going to have your job. That's kind of how it is.
That's simple.
Ask dude over at the Vikings. They had to move him to what they had to move him to. It was like senior advisor of something.
They made a job for him.
Basically, they basically something you can do from home. That's basically what they made.
Crazy.
Of the O-line coach at the Vikings. So there's two worlds you can live in. I'm gonna read some of this. Like if you're fully vaccinated, right? So in the NFL, if you're a player, you don't have to get tested daily. Basically, you can be free. You no mask at the facility, no mask on the road. If you're at the Seahawks or any team is playing and another guy's hometown, he wants to see his aunties, his cousin, his side piece, whatever, they can all kick it, right? No restrictions there. If you get exposed to somebody who has COVID, you don't have to quarantine like you had to in years prior. You can eat in the lunchroom with everybody. There's no restrictions on the weight room, the locker room. If you got a buddy you like to shower next to, like y'all good. There's none of that. So I think it even says in here you can use the sauna and the steam room. So like those, you're basically living free if you're vaccinated. Now, if you are not, you are living in 2020. And that just does that seem awful? Yes, because it was like you get tested every day. You got to be masked up all the time. all types of travel restrictions. You got to be socially distanced in the locker room. You can't eat lunch with the homies. Like, you can't even eat lunch in the cafeteria. You got to grab a sack lunch. If you, for real, I'm reading this right here in the thing that the league sent out. Like, if you, and it's the same thing as in if you test positive, then boom, 10 days gone. So you're basically living in 2020 if you are not vaccinated. Does that mean you are forced to get vaccinated? No, it does not. It just means you have to live in 2020. I'm actually surprised that more Seahawks weren't willing to do that, because what the Seahawks can say is, especially if you were on the team last year, look, we had no vaccine. I lived my life right, and I didn't catch COVID. I can just do that same thing without getting the vaccine. That's like, is it a good argument? No. Is it one that I can understand someone coming to as a conclusion? Yes, I can. But as Pete Carroll revealed to us Wednesday, the Seahawks will, in about a week or so, with the I want to say incubation periods of how long the vaccines take to kick in and how long you have to wait in between shots, they will have 90 of their 91 players fully vaccinated in about a week or so. That's got to be one of the highest rates in the league. I'm having one of my colleagues check on that. I'll probably know by the time we finish recording. I got to think, Chris, that's the highest rate in the league. And if you're wondering why it's 91 and not 90 players like every other team, all of the NFC West teams were allocated a player from the International Pathway Program. So if you know, the Seahawks have that German linebacker. And in the NFC West, everyone has one. Those guys you get a roster exemption for. So on top of the 90 guys you already have, you get to add that one dude from Germany or Italy or wherever. So they have 91 guys. And if Aaron, I think his last name is Dunker, I don't know how to pronounce it right. But if Aaron makes the team, like, he doesn't have to count against the practice squad, none like that. So it's 91. Not to say that he's the guy not getting the vaccine. I want to be clear.
We don't know who it is.
Yeah, we don't know who. We're not going to speculate. I don't necessarily care.
It's a damn good percentage, man.
But Pete Carroll did say that the one guy who's not getting the vaccine, they're not even going to try to persuade him. It sounds like he has a personal reason. It's tied to his family. I would imagine that means Pete didn't elaborate, because I don't think he wants to elaborate on another dude's like business like that. Although I think it's technically everyone's business why someone doesn't want to get something to protect them from spreading an airborne virus. But he says it's a family thing. I would take that to mean that this person's family has a history of adverse reactions to vaccines, perhaps because of some immunodeficiency that's perhaps genetic. I'm not entirely sure. I'm speculating there. But even though like 90 out of 91,
it's the best in the league, and I don't even know this for a fact. I'm willing to put that on the line and say the Seahawks are leading the charge in that regard of getting players vaccinated. And that just shows the type of organization that they are in this circumstance. And that's really cool to see, because you look around the league, it's not the
look over there in Washington.
It's not good.
Rivera's over there hot. Indy, doesn't the Indy coach Frank Reich have
they're having a problem.
Yeah, he got the suds over there.
And the thing is, they've announced that forfeits are possible this season due to COVID.
The other part. Yeah.
Mike and I we're talking off wax, and Mike, he's it's not really a hot take, but he was basically saying that he doesn't think it's going to get to that. My hope is that it doesn't. But when you have players that aren't vaccinated and are free to do as they please, because last year it was more strict. There was a protocol. Hey, you can't go anywhere. I'm sure players probably did, but they were probably more quiet about it. Whereas now everything's open back up, and going out is the norm. You can go and do those things that last year you would be frowned upon.
And it wasn't even available to you. Like in Seattle, you couldn't do what Dwayne Haskins did. Like, maybe hit the club for somebody's birthday.
Correct.
You couldn't really do that out here probably until like March.
And my fear is
you can.
Yeah, and my fear is that some players, young, rookie guys, second year, third year guys, they don't understand the importance of this job that they have, and they go out and think, oh, it's cool, man. I'll wear a mask, but they take off the mask, something happens. Now you go see your teammate, dap up. Next thing you know, you get tested, you're positive, you are around your teammates, and now it becomes an issue. My hope is it doesn't come to that, but if you look across the league, it's not certain. You're questioning, dang, can they really get it done? The NBA is a smaller league. They did the bubble, it worked out. You had Chris Paul go into protocol. It ended up working out. With the NFL, it's just a bigger magnitude. You got over 1,500 players. It's really
well over, I think.
It's I want to say damn near impossible to make sure everyone's doing the right thing. I did a really good job of it last year. Sure, there were a few outbreaks, but it didn't get too crazy to where you had to cancel the season midway or any part. So this year is going to be even more important now that things are open back up. You look at Atlanta, it's open. I mean, it's been open.
Florida, Texas. Yeah, there's a lot of places.
A lot of places that
Vegas,
are open,
I believe. No. I just said Nevada's closing back down. So never mind.
Okay. I mean,
but Vegas still gonna be Vegas. Nevada's not closing back down. I think they have a mask mandate coming back in. I think so.
Go ahead.
And
that's a tip to the hat of the Seahawks, just because of what they're doing. And I don't know what Pete told his guys in the locker room or how he approached them.
I know what he told them.
Go ahead, shed some
light. No, I know how Pete thinks. Pete saw the fact that you could cost your team playoff positioning, because that's what happens if you forfeit.
My question is, even though Pete said those things, what's the difference between Pete saying it and some other coach and other players are like, I don't need the vaccination still, which is why the Seahawks are 90 out of 91. Other teams are well below that threshold.
Well, I think part of that is the mindset of always compete. Yeah. You know, like when you have always compete everywhere, and you treat the vaccine as like a way to compete against other teams, like they probably take pride in having whatever 90 out of 91, whatever percentage that is.
We'll say 98%.
No, it's gotta be whatever. Yeah, whatever. They take pride in that, probably like being the highest vaccination rate. I think some other teams are also really high. Like I said, someone was checking on that for me, but I'm pretty sure that's what Pete told him. Like, yo, guys, like you're potentially, what's rule number one in this program? Protect the team.
Like you being vaccinated does that.
Yes, it protects the protect the team was a broad term he's had for a decade here in Seattle. But like this is where one of those situations where like Pete couldn't have foreseen using protect the team in this way, but this is what it's for at the same time. Like you're not protecting the team if you potentially do not get vaccinated. Right. Like that's I think the other part of it is what we haven't considered, like we just talked about, guys have the opportunity to like go to a dinner or go to a bar where they couldn't before last year.
Yes.
The other thing is visitors. Right, so all these guys do not live alone.
Friends, family
comes in, they slide through. I think part of how they got through COVID last year without any positive tests, Seattle, is they were testing family members. They were testing people coming in, like that was available to people's spouses and family members traveling into Seattle, traveling out. So like they were even making sure that if you had a cousin fly in for a birthday or something like that to come see you and your linebacker, cousin's getting tested too. Right, like right straight from the airport to get a test, I believe. So are they doing that stuff? Like you can't control that. Like if one guy in the D-line room doesn't want to get it and they have a D-line dinner and like, okay, now is the D-line guy exposed, and then does he wipe out the whole D-line room and you get a Broncos situation where you wipe out your whole position group and they had to start that dude, whatever his name was, and start him at quarterback. He was like a receiver. So I think that's where probably Pete Carroll was like, yo, protect the team.
We're not doing that.
We're not gonna have that, especially like the quarterback room was probably put first. Like, hey, Danny Etling, Alex Magoo, if you mother effers get COVID, and you are out of here. If you are around Russ, I will put you on a Greyhound back to where you from. Like you got to just go through it that way, and then you have position group leaders who enforce those same rules, and then you just got whatever position group has the one guy. Again, won't speculate on which guy it is. Honestly, don't think really matters. That dude will probably give in after a little bit if he's a dude on the fringe. Like if he's on the back end of a roster, those guys are kind of getting forced. Because if you was a 7-string receiver and you don't want the vaccine, you get cut.
Well,
that's
again,
kind of what it is.
Applause to the Seahawks for getting it done. That's really dope. But I know everyone's curious about football aspect. And the great thing is, two big guys that are pretty important to this franchise at this moment, Jamal Adams and Dwayne Brown, were indeed present for training camp.
Two of the most important, I would say.
Meanwhile, they weren't participating. They were there. That's always a good sign. They're actually in the building, supporting their teammates. That's what you like to see.
Well, and not getting fined. That's
another thing.
The other part why they was there too.
Fun.
Yeah.
But even sometimes guys will, I'm not showing up. You're not paying me. And we've seen that before. But again, Dwayne Brown and Jamal were present today. But there's still questions looming. The contract deal going to be close. Are they close to a deal? What's the next steps, Mike, as we are about a month and some change from the football season?
I will say that both of those guys are probably here because they want to support their teammates and they have faith in the organization that they're going to get paid. I should throw that out there first. Second thing is they don't want to get fined. I don't have the fine rules in front of me, but the new CBA agreed to in March of 2020 basically like makes it so it's really cost prohibitive to contract holdout. Like you're gonna lose. I forget how much you lose. You might start losing like 50 bands a day or something like that if you hold out under the new CBA makes it so you're just burning money. I don't think teams, because before like Cam Chancellor, I don't know this for sure, but like when he held out in 2015, and came back, he was getting fined that whole time. And he got fined for missing the 2 games that he missed in the regular season. The Seahawks have the ability to waive those fines. They'd be like, you know what? It's good. You're back. We love you. I think that ability to waive the fines has been stripped. So if you get fined, you fined. That's just kind of what it is. And that's a lot of dollars per day. Training camp's like 30-something days or something like that. Like maybe not that many, but you get the point.
Yeah. It's a lot of bread.
It's a lot of bread you're burning. So that is why that these guys are showing up. So I think even if they had faith in the organization that would get done, I could see a scenario where Jamal wouldn't have shown up or Dwayne wouldn't have shown up. Dwayne's already not shown up to work before that in Houston.
It's a very important thing you brought up there.
Yeah, he likes it here more than he does Houston, but the point still remains, he still want to get paid, right? So I think that factors into why both of these guys showed up. You basically, I think Xavier Howard in Miami is doing the same thing. I think he even put it out on his Instagram. He was like, I'm just here so I don't get fined. That's why guys are here. Because that money it's a lot. I mean, Earl probably didn't get his fines waived when he held out in 2018, and that was probably a lot of bread. But then why did Earl show up for week 1? So he wouldn't lose game checks, because Earl was making, I don't know, probably a few $100,000 per game or something like that at that point. That's a lot of money he'd be burning. His agent probably was like, hey, bro, we need to get this money. So show up. And that's really what both of them are still waiting on, is to get this money. We can get into the Jamal one after this, but I think the Dwayne Brown situation is kind of interesting. I was on the station you work at, Chris, at 950, and I was on with Softy and Dick. Go Cougs. I was on it with them, and they were like, yeah, Jamal's the number 1 storyline. So what do you think is number 2? And I was like, the Dwayne one might be number 1.
Protect them Russ, man. It's pretty big.
Yeah, like, so I think part of it is the defense got better. I think it's like value above replacement, I guess, is the summary that I'm going to go with here. Dwayne, like, we're not supposed to report a bunch of depth chart stuff. I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm sorry, PR staff. Jamarco Jones is in line to be the starting left tackle if Dwayne's not out there. That is a problem, right? Like, problem. And if he's not, then it would be like Stone Forsythe, their 6th-round pick out of Florida. Also a problem, right? Like, the drop off between Dwayne and who was after Dwayne is big, right? So if he was to potentially not be out there, like, I was just listening to an interview with Russell Wilson on Dan Patrick from 2 weeks ago, and he was just like, I love when Dwayne's out there. Like, I need him out there. He didn't say this in the context of his contract holdout. He was just saying, like, how much he loves Dwayne. You know why, Chris? Because these other guys ain't Dwayne.
Yeah.
That's not to say, now I gotta preface this, that is not to say that the gap between Jamal Adams and Ryan Neal is not also wide. I do think it is just smaller, much smaller, I think I would add, than the gap between Dwayne, Jamarco, and Stone. I just don't think that those guys are at the, like, Dwayne's really one of the best in the biz and has been for so long, so consistent, plays such an important position. Not to say that just strong safety isn't important. It's very important, even in this defense.
Flexibility is there.
Yeah, it's like
you can move guys around and not make up for Jamal, but
I trust Ryan more than I do Jamarco and those other guys. I've seen Ryan start. I've seen Ryan play well.
He's made plays.
Exactly.
He's won the game.
Have I seen
for the Seahawks
Jamarco play well at tackle? No. Has I seen him play well at guard? Yes. And I haven't seen Stone play at all, so I don't know. So that's why I think the Dwayne one's like, and Pete's kind of acting. I mean, Pete, you were there for Pete Carroll's press conference. It's probably on YouTube and stuff right now too, but like, we were asking Pete about, like, I asked him, like, why isn't Dwayne practicing? He's like, I just didn't practice today. Pete.
Why?
Yeah, Pete's like, I saw that. I saw him there. I should say this too. Dwayne was wearing a mask on the sideline. All the guys who are, I think, even if you are vaccinated and you're not practicing, you're supposed to wear a mask.
Was Jamal?
I don't think so. I don't think that implies that Dwayne is the one guy. I just wanted to. It could in theory, but that's only if guys are like following the rules. Like Dwayne Eskridge didn't have a mask on; he didn't practice.
Yeah.
But I think Travis Homer might have had one on. So I don't want to just say like, oh, Dwayne didn't have a mask on, or Dwayne had a mask on, so he's the one guy. I don't want to make that assumption, and I know people would jump into that, but it's not a for sure thing. But yeah, Dwayne asking Pete Carroll about like, yo, why Dwayne not practicing? He's like, well, he's a veteran. We take care of our veterans, which they do take care of their veterans. And during practice, you see the practice reports come out and be like, oh, Thursday, Dwayne's not rest. It's rest. Dwayne's never done that in training camp.
He's out there.
How old he gets, he's always there in training camp. When he wanted a new contract in 2018, you know where he was? On the field. Yes. And then he got paid like a couple days later. So That was in 2018 when he signed the deal that he's on now. So that one, it feels like Dwayne's insistence on getting a new deal kind of caught these guys off guard a little bit. That's what it feels like. I don't know that to be sure, but that's what it feels like. Jamal, they already knew. We traded for 2 first-round picks before he got paid, right? Like, yeah, it's kind of clear. Even when they traded for Dwayne in 2017, it was like very clear, like, you're upset. You've held out games because you want a new contract. If we trade for you from Houston, we got paid, right? And they did. They paid him. Like, it seems that they were ready for. I don't know how ready they were for the 35-year-old left tackle to be like, hey, can I get a bag? I don't know how much they're ready for that. They traded up for a left tackle in the draft.
Who was it that asked Pete if it's a contract thing? I think it was Brady. You just want to confirm, like, hey, so you didn't,
yeah, it was Brady Hedison, ESPN.
He said, hey, you didn't really give us an idea of if it's a contract situation, or you just not want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Oh, all right.
Yeah, see, so
there it is.
Yeah, Pete being so tight-lipped on the situation, just even telling us what the situation is, that's unlike Pete, I think, in terms of contract stuff. He's usually been pretty like open, even if he just says, hey, it's the business part of the game, we'll get it handled behind the scenes. He's not even telling us that. He's just like, oh yeah, Dwayne's old, so sometimes he don't practice. It's like, wait a minute, man.
Dwayne was old last year.
You're 69, buddy. You gotta stop calling guys old. But I just don't like that excuse, because also with the Dwayne contract, I mean, you look at the numbers. Dwayne hasn't said much, and there hasn't been many leaks on it. I haven't even heard anything about it. I dig in a little bit. I'm looking at like Dwayne, even when he signed his new deal, was only like the 7th highest paid tackle at the time, or something around that realm. I think now he's somewhere between 16 or 17, because that guy in Indy just got paid. I forget his name, Braden something, just got paid. So I think if he wants to get in the top 5, you're looking at like 18 million for your 36. Dwayne turns 36 in August 30th. It's your 36-year-old left tackle. There's not a lot of precedent for tackles playing well that deep into their career. They do play that deep in their career. I mean, there's already one in the division. Andrew Whitworth,
with the Rams.
At age 38, I believe he signed a $30 million deal.
Yeah, he's been doing it.
And he's still balling at age 40. So it's doable. Even Trent Williams, I think, is upper 30s, and is playing well. I think he's the highest paid left tackle in the league right now. So there, it can happen. I don't think Trent's as old as Dwayne, but you may be looking at least getting Dwayne in the top 10 again. And even that's going to cost like 15 mil.
The cost would be worth it, though. What does Russ say?
Yeah, he needs his guy.
I need my guy.
He needs 76 out.
I know it's going to cost, but to protect your number 3, your guy that can get you to a Super Bowl and win one, you got to get it done. You got to figure a way to get it done. There's got to be a way that these two sides come together and agree to terms, and he's out on the field getting his reps. He might not be going crazy, going hard, but he just needs to get his reps.
They just need him on Sunday. They don't really need him the whole rest of the week. Oh, I did write around this. So yeah, to break into the top 10, they'd have to get around like 15 million. That would top, I think, DJ Humphries of Arizona, who's at 14.7. And then Whitworth did sign for a 10-year or 3 years and 30, which averages at 10. At the time of Whitworth's deal, that was about 3.3% of the salary cap in 2020. So I think that rises to 3, or that stays at 3 in 2021. So this year he's at 3, and then 7% in 2022. Right now, Dwayne's already due to account for 7.3% of this year's salary cap. So he's probably going to want to stay at that number, because those are the numbers that really matter, is what percentage are you taking up with the salary cap. They have the money to pay Dwayne. They do. They have the money to pay Dwayne, Jamal, Xavier Howard, me and Chris, Quandre, the Valet dudes. Like, they got money to pay everybody. Dude who stocks the vending machines. They got money around there. A little fun little tidbit behind the scenes. So I don't have it on me because you got to give it back. But you have one of those trackers, or did I only get the tracker?
I think you only got it.
Yeah, a little tracker that beeps when you're like, it's like this big. Like,
I saw those.
It's like the size of a domino for everybody who's listening, not seeing us on YouTube.
So that's what that noise was.
Yeah, it beeps when you're within 6 feet of someone who's not of the tier that you are, and I'm tier 2, so I can go in the building and stuff like that. I found out on my way out, it was like, hey, make sure you guys put these back in a little case at the front door, because if you lose it, it's $100. And then I guess somebody asked a PR person, like, okay, so who pays that $100 if we lose it? And it was like, y'all. I was like, hold on, time out. Jody Allen's worth how much?
And she can't
just foot this little thing. Come on, man, we journalists out here. Like, what?
I'm not making $100 million a year.
You guys do it out here, man. Like, you guys are probably spending that much on the food and grooming for a little Turf the dog that you got running around. I ain't even the mascot. Anyway, I thought that was kind of funny since we talking about
Homegirl was beeping a lot too, by the way.
Yeah, there was a lot of beeping going on. It was very confusing. But back to Dwayne and the contract, I think that might be the most important one right now. You know, they're both very important. It's not to dismiss one or the other.
1A, 1B, if you want to be, if you really want to look at it.
I don't want the Dwayne thing to fly under the radar, man, especially the way Pete's kind of talking about it, you know, because how long does Dwayne want to play?
You could summarize it like this. With Dwayne Brown, this is Russell Wilson's best offensive line he's had in his career. Without Dwayne Brown,
it's probably like a bottom 4.
Look at that difference there. Just look at that.
Yeah, that
from being one of the best to being Russell Wilson's best, period, to now a bottom in the league without Dwayne. That is scary.
I think Dwayne was second in ESPN's pass rush win rate model last year. Like, he was a stud.
Get it done.
I think the Seahawks, what are they going to be, like a top? Let's say all 5 guys stay healthy. They won't, but that's just whatever. Let's say they do.
Football.
Yeah, I don't want to project who will get hurt. I'll say they're probably a top 12 offensive line, probably. Dwayne Brown, Gabe Jackson, Damian Lewis.
Top 15, sure, why not? Yeah.
Yeah.
I
would say a little bit above average. I think 12 is probably like a good. They were like the 11th ranked unit. I could see that. Without Dwayne, for any stretch, that drops to about 28. I am not. Come on, man. I'm serious.
Just look at all the edge rushers in the division.
Edge rushers, and now like teams are smart. They stunt guys, and like, come on, man. It would just, and then it would be bad. Like, I think they need to. I don't know if that. I don't even know if they're in discussions with Dwayne's people. Well, at least we know him and Jamal's people talking. There's leaks all over the place. We don't even know if they talking. Like, this is very, very concerning.
It's quiet
for me. Yeah,
I think it's gonna get done though. I'm gonna be optimistic. Dwayne, I don't think has ever been a person that is out there with the media talking contracts and situations. I personally think it'll get done before the season starts. I don't know when that will be. There's 5.5, 6 weeks left.
Yeah. There's a lot of
time. There's time. I think they'll get it done. It's Dwayne Brown. Seahawks need him. We just made a perfect case of looking at it and the standpoint of where the Seahawks rank with him offensively, where they don't rank. The Seahawks are very well aware of that. I would assume they get it done before the first game.
My guess on the contract numbers, because I think it'll get done too. Because Dwayne didn't re-sign here to hold out. Like, he's not gonna just miss games. Even though he missed games in Houston, like that's the thing.
He didn't even want to be there.
Yeah, he didn't want to be there at all. Like, owner was racist.
They can come to a conclusion like, hey, we'll work with you with this amount of money, and Dwayne probably like, all right, cool, let's get it done.
My guess would be probably like a 2-year 31.
So 15, 16,
15.5.
15.5.
I think the guarantees I would have to do some research on, but I think that gets him in the top 10, which is, I mean, when you're turning 36, even if you're playing at a high level, like, there's only so much you can get, out of a team. Like, how many years do you have left in you? I mean, that would take him through his age 37 to age 38 seasons. You make $15 million a year. So like, I think that's really solid money. If not, welcome to the DeMarco Jones show, or Cedric Abui, or Stone Forsyth. Like, that's what we're looking at. I don't think anyone in Seattle outside of those 3 guys we just named really want that to be the case. Now with Jamal, I think we've talked about it on the show before. So the funny thing about the Jamal contract is, like, we know he considers himself a defensive weapon. And the Seahawks
he was
are
on with Colin Cowherd.
Yeah, like there's no salary for that, and teams aren't creative enough. And that the Seahawks definitely are not. They're they stick to their structure pretty tough in terms of contracts. They're not creative enough to be like, well, let's create a salary for a weapon. No, the Seahawks are like, man, you are a safety. We're gonna pay you like the best safety in the league because we think you are. We deserve that.
When you say weapon, you've seen Doom with The Rock, right?
No, that movie looks stupid. I wasn't.
It was terrible, but there's a scene
I knew it.
They get a BFG, and that's the big effing gun. That's what I see as Jamal Adams. He is just this big weapon that destroys any and everything, and that's what the BFG does. It destroys any and everything. Okay. So, for those of my people that saw Doom, you're welcome.
See that movie, man.
It's actually entertainingly bad.
It's one of them. It's so bad that it's like Soul Plane. I don't know how many people are listening right now. It's like Soul Plane. I think another
terrible film.
The movie Rat Race. Have you seen that?
I saw it once and haven't watched it again. I was like 13.
It's so bad that it's good. I can't think of any. Pineapple Express is another one.
Oh, terrible.
That was a bad movie.
It's just getting high.
But
there you go.
So it's like high mixed with like a a bunch of car chasing and stuff like that with like James Franco as this like
Seth Rogen.
really stoner dude, which is like who knew. But yeah, it's such a bad movie. But
sorry guys, I didn't even go on a tangent on that, but
I love the movie tangents in here. So the thing about Jamal considering himself a weapon, it's like, okay, what do you pay a weapon? You pay it 18 million, 19 million, 20 million, because Jamal's best asset is pass rushing. Pass rushing gets you paid in this league. I would say that his worst skill is probably coverage, but I don't think he's bad at it like everyone else. I even said when I was on the radio, I think the idea that Jamal can't cover like as an argument is unbelievably stupid. Like I just don't think there's anything.
You just don't put him on Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, like I don't think there's anything to back that. Well, you don't put him on Diggs in the slot with no safety help playing cover one. I just don't think that's anybody's game. It's outside of Jalen Ramsey and Jair Alexander. Yeah. I don't think that's anybody's game. But I think that any notion that Jamal can't cover is just ridiculous. He can cover. There's really nothing you have to back up a healthy Jamal Adams not being able to cover outside of like some PFF grades that are all from him being hurt. And even then, he had really good moments in coverage last year too. He had some bad ones too, but I think he can legit cover. So you got a guy who can cover, stuff the run, rush the passer. I see why he's the BFG.
Yeah, he's a weapon.
That's different, But Seahawks like, well, come on now, man. If we give you 17 million, that's already resetting the safety market like crazy. Because what is the highest dude in Justin Simmons in Denver?
Excuse me, in Denver, yes.
So I think that conundrum is kind of interesting as well. I'm a bit more confident that something happens there, but I'm still nervous there as well because if they're gonna play the card that Jamal can't make more than Bobby, I do think that's stupid. And if I'm Jamal, I'm gonna be like, that's stupid. Like I will legit fight. That's the thing that you can't. I am 25. I think Jamal is 25, 3-time Pro Bowler, made the All-Pro team. I broke the DB record for sacks. I'm in my prime.
Because Bobby's making what, 18?
18. Bobby's at 18. Yeah. If you're saying me I can't make more than Bobby just off just some like arbitrary like stance, there's nothing in the rule books that says Jamal Adams is not allowed to make more than Bobby Wagner. That's dumb.
Well, like, the age discrepancy.
I think Bobby just turned 31 or something like that. So
6 years.
Yeah, like one dude is like still really, really good, but he's not in his prime. He's still really good. Jamal's like going to get better. Like I think if that's the Seattle argument, along with we can only pay like a safety, that's just dumb. I get it, but it's wrong. No, you can't do that. I get it. It's just wrong. Can't play that card after you traded the 2 first-round picks. That is true. So even if you are right, after you trade 2 firsts for me, you got no leverage. Well, you do have some because what's Jamal going to do? Not play, and then burn even more money. The only thing that I didn't like from Pete Carroll today, and everyone who watched the press conference or even read my story today, in The Athletic probably can figure. Pete was like, well, I think it was me. Like I asked Pete, I said, hey, so why is he not practicing? See, I have to ask Pete directly, like, because he liked to dance.
He gave you a smile.
Yeah, I'd be like, why is he not practicing, Pete? He's like, well, he's dealing with the shoulder. He had surgery on his hands. He had shoulder surgery. It's like, I don't want to call Pete a liar. I can't do that. He has more intel on the situation than me. I haven't done a ton of reporting on the situation to be fair. No one in Seattle really has. If you look at it, it's really just Mike Garafolo, or however you say his name.
And you said it right.
Yeah, Garafolo.
There you go.
It's really just him and Rappaport at NFL Network reporting this. No one locals really said anything of substance. So maybe Brady Henderson has. I'm not sure. But so I'm not going to say that Pete's lying. I just have a hunch. It's just a hunch, Chris. Strong hunch. Jamal's shoulder will heal up just fine when the ink on that contract dries. I just have a guess that he'll be fine. He's already going through walkthroughs. He's at the meetings. Dwayne is too. I just have a feeling that them hands that he had operated on will magically, how, what is that? I feel like there's a movie where you could just heal right away. Oh, this is
a movie where you could just heal?
Yeah, you get hurt and you could just heal.
You get hurt and you just heal. Wow.
No, maybe I'm thinking of some Game of Thrones type of thing.
Yeah, I haven't seen Game of Thrones. You're on your own world on that one.
Maybe
player.
It's like Harry Potter. I don't know. I feel like I was just watching something where you had the ability to just like
heal yourself,
heal a wound. Maybe it was Harry Potter. That's how you're gonna see. Have you seen any Harry Potters?
No,
You haven't seen. Okay, so I think that's how Jamal gonna be if
I got paid.
when the ink finally dries, like you put the little ointment on his shoulder, it's like it heals up, stitches good. All right, I'm good.
Let's go ahead.
Let me get out there. I just don't buy Pete's kind of like, well, he'd still be hurt anyway. Now he may need some monitoring. He may need to wear a brace or something like that. Like I do believe that like it's not
like JJ Watt
fully back. He did have surgery, multiple surgeries. Like he was really, really banged up. He hurt his elbow week 2. He got his shoulder crushed week 10. Broke some fingers.
Wasn't
I don't know.
Gerald Everett that did it?
Yeah, I think Gerald Everett like pancaked.
Have they talked?
I don't know. We haven't got to talk to Jamal. You only talked to Gerald once, true. But I missed that press conference. I forget what I was doing. So I'll try and work on that. So I thought that was funny from Pete. And like, no, he hurt. Don't worry about it. It's like,
all right. Okay.
You sure? You're really sure? Jamal loves ball. I'm pretty sure remember what did he do last year? Did he hurt himself? He was cutting
he was cutting pineapple or something, cutting fruit, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he was cutting the fruit if you don't cut, like strawberries or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah,
I do remember that press conference.
You don't cut a strawberry, I don't think.
Just cut the top off. I get that, but
you don't even gotta cut, you just rip it. Anyway, I think
it's true.
Or maybe it was like tomatoes or something. No, because you slice tomatoes. So anyway, he was cutting something. And he cut his finger. And he still practiced. Like he could practice with bad fingers, is my point. And I think he would in training camp in the preseason as soon as that ink is dry. That's my guess. If I had to, should we do, I guess, the Dwayne contract number? Should I do that here too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking 17. That's less than Bobby. You better go 19, 20.
I would, if I'm Seattle, I wouldn't care about what Bobby makes. I think what Bobby makes is irrelevant. They play different positions, a different age. You used different assets to acquire each guy. They have different accolades as well. Bobby's first team All Pro. He plays a more traditional position. That's like, you can't argue. You can't be like Jimmy Graham arguing he's a receiver, which I thought was a fair argument from Jimmy with the Saints, at least not with Seattle. So I do get that, but I would guess, or if I'm Seattle, like, here's 4 years, $70 million. I think that averages about to 17.5 a year. That makes you the highest paid safety by a wide margin, at least $2 million more per year, I believe, than the dude in Denver. So that's a huge jump. That's very similar to the jump that Laramie Tunsil got when he was also traded for 2 first-round picks from Miami to Houston, and he went into Bill O'Brien's office and said, Bill, you have to pay me now because you traded the world for me. I have all the leverage. So I would like to be the highest paid left tackle by a wide margin. I think he topped it by a few million. Trent Williams has since topped it, I believe, but you get the point. I think Jalen Ramsey might have done the same thing. I think he might have been the first corner traded for 2 first-round picks. I think he's making $20 million. Jalen is right now
19 or 20.
Yeah, so
it's right there.
If I'm Jamal, I want that same jump. I don't think I really need to create this new arbitrary grading system of I'm a weapon, pay weapon salary. Because if that's the case, we can make up a weapon salary. All right, weapons can make 17.5. Like that's
if you're a class A weapon, 17.5.
Yeah, 17.5. That's it. Like you can't. I really wouldn't use that either. I would just come to a number that feels right, and I think Jamal will be the highest paid safety at that number for a very long time. Too. I think if you look at Miami, well, I just don't think that there is a lot of elite players that can top that. Like coming up, I think the closest person would be maybe Derwin James.
Buda Baker.
Buda already got paid. He's already at 15
that's 15. Okay.
So the only 2 guys I could think of off the top of my head is what's the kid's name? Yeah, Derwin James, the Chargers. But he's been too hurt. They're not going to give him more than. They're not going to give him 18 mil after playing only 2 full years maybe. And then the kid who was in Miami that's now in Pittsburgh, Micah Fitzpatrick. He could probably get in the market and say, hey, Jamal's this. I think I'm better than Jamal. I need to be the next guy up to get 18. But even then, I think that'll be a stretch for Minka's representation, even though he's a first-round pick. And they still traded for him. So I think that could make Jamal happy. Like, you're paid as more than just a safety because you're getting paid more than everywhere else by a wide margin. And it's at a number that, because guys like to say, I'm the highest paid. Like they like that. You get that moniker, you get to keep it. I don't think nobody's topping that for a little bit.
It'd be tough.
So you have a few, it would be very, very, very tough. It's like Mahomes is going to be the highest paid quarterback for a very long time. Like no one's going to, you know what I'm saying? That's just going to not be topped.
I got $500 million.
Yeah, his average annual salary.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, like Lamar's not going to touch that. Josh Allen's not going to touch that. Baker Mayfield's not going to touch that. Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert, nobody's going to touch that. So I think he's good there. Trevor Lawrence, whenever he's due in 4 or 5 years, he's not going to touch that either. So I think Jamal could be in a similar boat. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
I think that's my guess. You got a guess on the numbers?
I was thinking probably 19-20. That's my guess. I think they go all in with him. Like you said, they
19-20. Whoa.
Yeah. That's weapon money right there. That's weapon money.
That's BFG money.
That's BFG money.
That's BFG.
I think 19 for me is the start.
Is the start? Oh
yeah.
boy.
I wouldn't be surprised. Seriously, we'll be 19.
I feel like that's probably where Jamal's trying to go.
And I respect that.
I don't know if I can do that though. I just don't know.
Well, you're a good man. You're probably the Seahawks. Yeah, I don't know if we can do that. We're looking at 17 and a half, 16. What do you say?
Because that gets you into the range of guys who cover at a really high level too, though.
When healthy, we'll see what he can do.
Because like in terms of pass rushers, that would place him with in the Frank Clark tier.
Yes.
Which actually, that is tough. No, I can see why this is taking so long. I can see why this is taking.
There's a lot on the table here.
But for what it's worth, whatever they pay him, I think that it's like you can't overpay. I mean, if you pay like $28 million or something like that, you top Joey Bosa money. I don't know what you're doing there, but I think they're gonna come to a number that's probably like in between. It might pay the same as Bobby. Make them the same.
There you go.
Whatever. Maybe take a short deal if you're Jamal. Take a 2 or 3 year deal. That means you can hit the market again at like age 28,
and you can get probably more bang for your buck.
Yeah. Then re-up when the salary cap keeps going up. Maybe you think about that too. Shaquille Griffin just took a 3-year deal.
Yeah,
with that same in mind. He's only 26. He's gonna hit the market again at 29.
That boy got the yams over there in Jacksonville. They paid him handsomely.
Yeah. So I guess to kind of, before we get into our last thing, to close this out, I'm a little worried about the Dwayne situation, at least now. Now, watch, we say this and he's going to sign tomorrow.
I'm not too worried. I think he'll get it done.
Jamal one, not as much. I just don't think that Jamal is the same as Dwayne in this regard. They both came here to win a championship.
Boom.
Not to beef over their contracts. I understand why doing it in training camp, but by the time the season starts, these guys are going to want to be out there for their brothers. That's the bottom line. Like, they're gonna be out there for their people and try to win championship. Even if it's like Earl was, unless like middle finger to y'all if I get hurt. I could see that for sure in both cases. But until then, like even Earl, as mad as he was at Pete and John, was out there.
Yeah,
was out there balling every week, even the week he got hurt. So I think that'll be the case there. The difference is, I think eventually these guys will get paid. The numbers that I think, I'm pretty confident in my number. Your number's a little high, but
it's a little high.
That is a little high.
At least BFG numbers, baby.
That is a BFG number. That's a BFG number for sure.
But now that training camp is open, it opens up the discussion for, what you guys like, what you guys did not like about training camp. For me, what I liked was just seeing everybody out there. It was dope. It was like, man.
You mean like players,
fans, just the whole environment. It was cool. Nice sunny day. Got to see it live. I didn't have to ask you like, hey, Mike, what went on today? Oh, by the way, someone got mossed. Oh, this. I was able to see all of it today. Even though it's day one, It was just good being back out there. Some of the challenges, and you probably will have the same ones, is not being able to dab up some of the players that you have talked to. And,
it was awkward.
First time meeting, for example. Actually, I won't even say who the player was, but saw a player that we've had on the podcast previously. He's always good. Dapped. Oh, can't do that. My bad, brother. Cannot shake hands.
Yeah, do not get near the player. I think the players can't even sign autographs. If you're a fan and you got an autograph, let me know. But I really don't think anyone can sign autographs.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to be that close.
You got to be 10 feet away from the players at all times. So that was kind of weird, because before when I first started attending camp, I was able to meet guys, introduce myself, dap them up, the whole thing.
Right.
Now it's like, oh, what's up, Chris? Back up.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That is a little weird. I'm happy they have food. I know this really only matters to just me, but last year they didn't have food at training camp. I'm pretty sure. I think it was just like granola bars and stuff like that. Because training camp, for people who don't know, they usually have a full spread. Like in a normal year, it's like
2 years ago when
it was like barbecue ribs every day, or teriyaki or pasta. It was, and then last year it was like, here, have a bagel. I was like, time out, man.
With the whipped cream?
Yeah, it was like, well, we couldn't even go in there.
Hang on, it's not whipped cream. Time out, sour cream. Excuse me.
No,
false alarm.
No, it's cream cheese.
Sour cream.
If you put sour cream on a bagel, you are a terrorist.
I got to think about this. Clearly, I don't eat bagels.
No,
like
it's
that.
cream cheese. It's
not
definitely
not.
Bro, you do not put cream cheese on a bagel.
I'm done.
Or you not put sour cream on a bagel.
I'm done.
You are a terrorist if you do that. That's how you get COVID, is you put sour cream on a bagel. But yeah, them having food was not, even if it was just chicken wraps. That's all it was today. But like
that was some food. Better than a granola bar.
That's better than just granola
We'll check
bars.
that as a pro.
Yeah, no, I definitely. They had the food trucks back out there. I like the food trucks. I didn't eat at them, but because I'm cheap, they give me free food. Why I'm
why am I gonna spend money?
Yeah, why I'm gonna spend the money. Yeah, the downside is definitely like I done already got in trouble day one, shaking somebody's hand, and then the PR people be like, "Yo,
can't do that. We told you."
Yeah, like chill out. And it's like, you know what? I said my bad. I won't do that. I forget. It's just so natural. I'm sure you guys have all been out there, first time meeting somebody or seeing somebody after COVID, and you just hug them or show them some love. Like that was the natural inclination. But I'm with you, man.
It's tough. And
seeing the position battles play out, hearing a little bit of the trash talk, hearing the coaches.
You heard some? Because I didn't hear none. I'm gonna be honest. We were on the side with the speakers blaring, so I couldn't hear anything. And then when we moved, I started talking to Curtis Crabtree, co-worker at KJR. So I really didn't hear much trash talk. But it's not a lot. It's not a lot. But when the pads come on, I think
you can hear a little bit. Just even hearing the coaches coach the guys up and stuff like that. Like that's where I get a lot of my insight, how I know how guys are built. Who's willing to throw hands, who's quiet, who's the first in every drill, who's like, I figure all this stuff out being closer to the action. So I'm looking forward to that, even if they have a bunch of rules saying what I can and cannot report and stuff like that. So
also the interview process for you is gonna be fun.
Yeah, the interview. We're gonna talk about that in the next show, like how that goes. We're getting one-on-ones, guys. We're getting one-on-ones. My first one-on-ones in forever. It feels like I don't know how it's gonna go because I can't be within 6 feet of the players. So I don't know how I gotta just yell it. Hey man, how was your off season? He's like, hey, I can't hear you. I'm standing by the speaker. I don't know how that's gonna go. But I'm excited to do that, because it's hard for me to do our jobs when everything's just on Zoom and everybody be asking bad questions, interrupting my good questions or Joe's good questions, stuff like that. I hate that. But we don't got to deal with that no more. So
that's true.
I am happy about that, man. I'm happy you get to be out there too.
Yeah, it's good being back out there, man. It was fun. It was good. I got to see everybody I haven't seen in a year. So it was weird seeing everyone out there, but also really cool. So it's good to be back. Got a couple weeks of this thing, and then it's go time, man. Regular season.
Yeah, I'm traveling again. I don't know if I have said that on the show before. I'm not going to Vegas, sadly. But
it's probably a good thing, man.
But I'm going to. I'll be chilling in Vegas, man. Vegas got too many dress codes. That's why I don't like.
You're Mike Dugar. Just flash the name.
They don't care of it.
Deshaun got you.
You know what's funny? I bought this shirt in Vegas just so I could get into a club. This polo shirt, just to get into the club.
I had to buy a T-shirt that says "I love Las Vegas" to get into a strip club because I had on something. They were like, "You can't wear that in there."
Exactly.
What do you mean?
I don't like
the strip club.
I don't like the dress codes in Vegas.
Man told me to go to a store around the street. It was CVS. He was like, "Go to CVS, bro. Get your T-shirt. You can't wear that though." I was like,
"He's probably wearing a tank top."
Bro, it might have been because it was 110 at
exactly. That's another thing about Vegas. Like, you want me to dress up, brother? It's the desert.
What do I look like?
But yes, I am traveling. I'm only not going to Vegas. I'm going to every other game. Indy. Everything's already booked except for the Niners game. I don't know why I haven't booked that yet. So yeah, man. We'll be back every week at training camp now after every preseason game and all that. We had to take that little hiatus so Chris could turn 29.
And Mike can go to Miami and travel and have fun.
That as well. Miami, where there wasn't strict dress codes. So we back and we're gonna take questions and stuff too. We will. We'll get into that. We'll have more interviews.
My bad. To be honest, I was telling Mike before the show started, I was like, bro, I forgot to tell you to drop the pod questions hours ago at training camp. So that's on me, people.
Now we'll get back to it though. We'll have more players and stuff on. We're just doing it. We're trying to test out the video and stuff without the players. Can you see our faces, man? We're good, man.
I think it went well.
Yeah, man. You see all three chains every time you see me. So yeah, we'll be back. Hopefully we're gonna have coaches on too. Shout out to Clint Hurt, D-line coach. We had him on. We had some players on. We're gonna try to ramp it back up. It's go time. I'm excited. We all excited. We sound like Russ now talking about how excited we are for the season. But
can't wait.
We legitimately are, man.
Go Hawks.
So thank you guys for tuning in to our We Back episode at training camp 2021 debut. We'll be back, like I said, every week after the preseason games. We're gonna make it happen. Thank you guys for all rocking with us. Gonna be back next week. Make sure you guys tune in and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Everyone who's listening right now, just audio. Tap in, man. It's fun. We're gonna have some fun up here on the YouTube.
And thank y'all. I said we want to get to 400 like 3 weeks ago, and I think right after that podcast we got like another 60 subscribers. So we appreciate you guys.
Appreciate that love.
1 subscriber. So let's try to get to 600 and maybe 1,000 by the time the season starts. So that's what 6 weeks from now. So share this with a friend. Let them know that we Seahawks man to man. We give you guys what you want.
All right, man. On that note, we out.